All right, we've got 3 more games to get through. Let's talk about the teams who split the points over the weekend, and let's start with a couple of wild draws. Let's go with Orlando Pride and Washington Spirit. This was the game that kicked off the weekend, and maybe we should have known, like, hey, this is the energy that's going to carry us throughout a 2-2 draw for both of these teams, with Orlando Pride snatching. They just completely a crime was committed. Robbed Washington's Spirit of this win. There is no other way to express it or put it. Washington Spirit looking at a lead late in the game, thinking they had it in the bag, and Orlando Pride and Darian Jenkins said, hold on 1 second. Insane. I'm just like still thinking about this game, honestly. And I love that it sort of set it for me anyway, it kind of set the tone of this whole kind of weird weekend, I guess is a way to put it. I love it. I love a
This
comeback. I love
this
it.
game was incredibly entertaining, honestly, from start to finish. But the end of this game was just completely nuts. For those who missed it, yeah, there was a bit of a crime that committed at the end of this game. Just looking at some big plays throughout this match. 19th minute, Trinity Rodman, she gets the opening goal for Washington Spirit. Ashley Hatch doubles the lead for Washington in the 66th minute. Washington had a lot of the possession. They were controlling a lot of the game. Orlando had opportunities. They had in the 20th minute or so, Darian Jenkins had a shot off the post, but I'm talking big headlines here in this game.
Yeah.
Then there is stoppage time added on to this match. 6 minutes of stoppage time. In the 5th minute of that stoppage time, Michaela Clough, the rookie for Orlando, she gets a goal. It was all serious after that. 6 minutes of stoppage time. And in the 8th minute of stoppage time, Darian Jenkins, she gets the equalizer. So both of Orlando goals coming in the stoppage time. 6 minutes awarded, 8 minutes ultimately given, and 2 goals coming in the 5th and the 8th of that extra time added on to this game. It was bonkers to me. There was a moment towards the end of the game, I think it was like the late 80th minute, that Ashley Sanchez had a bit of a breakaway. She had one defender on her at the top of the box, and you could tell she kind of slowed up a little bit. Instead of it, she didn't go to the corner and keep possession of the ball, but she also wasn't playing that mentality like, we are down 1-0, we need a goal before this game ends out. She was not at all playing the mindset that this game is 0-0, which is a thing in soccer. Every 5 minutes you have to remind yourself as a player, this game is 0-0. And Ashley Sanchez did not do that in this particular moment. Late 80th minute, she had the ball, an opportunity, and she takes a shot. It wasn't that well struck. It was kind of like, okay, whatever, there's 3 minutes left, we're up 2-0, and then before you know it, bam, 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 Orlando takes 2 points.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think it's an important part to maybe look at or focus on, because this entire game, for the, let's say there was what, 90 plus 8 minutes of stoppage time. So let's just say maybe for the 92 minutes of this game, I was so impressed by this performance that Ashley Sanchez had put together in this game. And this was the moment where she took this, and we saw it on the broadcast. I went, oh, this player is exhausted.
I know.
And I mean that in the highest of compliment, because this was a player who was everywhere this match. It felt like
had a great game. Really had such a great game.
Ashley Sanchez was absolutely everywhere in this game. And you could just sort of see like this breakaway moment that she had. It's in stuff, you want to maybe try to kill the game off. And the shot that she, it almost like it took a little extra out of her. And you just saw her like heel over and hover over and just have to have her hands underneath. She needed a second to just sort of kind of lock it back in a little bit. It's tough covering what, 15 something miles in a game. It almost looked like, she was just kind of everywhere for me in this match. And it's just I think you just sort of see the minutes impacting the shot and the player, I think, at that moment. And then you have on the other side a massive opportunity for other players. And I just love what we're seeing out of Michaela Clough for this Orlando Pride side. I know Darian Jenkins, a player that we spoke with for this Pride team over the offseason, that despite Orlando not, being one of these expansion sides, there's still this energy and this feeling and this level of buy-in that this team and this particular personnel has the opportunity to kind of build something new within the infrastructure that already exists. So it's this kind of game, and just sort of seeing it close out, it was just, I was like, okay, I was like, this is it. Summer's here. We're gonna have this type of weekend in NWSL action. So splitting the points in this one, 2-2 game.
This game was crazy. I know you just highlighted Ashley Sanchez. Yeah, defensively, she did the work for both of the goals to win it back for Washington Spirit. Rodman's goal in the 19th minute, Sandra, we just have to give it a little bit of love because
it was a long time coming and overdue, quite frankly. So we have to talk about
her
it.
first goal of the NWSL season, and a bullet of a goal, incredibly well struck through traffic. She kept it low, hard. It had a lot of texture on it that was able to go towards the back post and fly past Erin McLeod in goal. But Sanchez is the one that won it defensively off of Michaela Clough, actually, and started that play for Washington Spirit. Same thing on the Ashley Hatch goal. It was Sanchez who won the ball defensively. It was actually a bit of a misclearance by Orlando, and it hit off the player, but then Sanchez there to pick it up. I mean, really a good play by Sanchez in a good game. We saw Andy Sullivan get her first start of the NWSL season. Kelly O'Hara out, but good highlights. I like highlighting players that did really well. Sanchez for sure. I mean, Rodman's goal, Jordan Listro, she didn't get a goal. I believe she was awarded with an assist for Orlando Pride, but she did a lot of the hard work for both of Orlando's goals. Really, really impressive to see Listro.
I loved her post. She posted like the how it started, how it's going kind of post on social media, just as someone who was in the stands as a fan at an Orlando Pride game, and then her being out on the pitch as well. That was very cool to see as well. But an exciting game for sure to kick off action over the weekend, and it rolled into it played into Saturday as well, as we had Chicago Red Stars versus Portland Thorns. This game also ending in a 2-2 draw. Lisa, I saved my draw for our picks in this game because I'm Chicago forever, Chicago over everything, end of the day. But it's because I have so much love that I know the team, and I said, this is the draw. This is going to be the draw for it. But I loved it. It was we went from that Washington Spirit and Orlando Pride game, and then going into this Portland and Chicago game. I know we were excited about it because it's like, hey, we're going to get a chance to see these two teams who had not faced each other yet in 2022. We're going to maybe see some kind of familiarity in terms of stylistic things on the pitches. They're two of several clubs, quite frankly, who are kind of rolling out their teams in these sort of 3-back formations to start off their respective seasons. So just sort of knowing that going into this one, I kind of felt like maybe the middles of this match is going to be kind of clogged. Maybe we're going to see some stuff out on the wings, and Mallory Pugh delivered that very, very, very early. It took all but 5 minutes for the Red Stars to get on the scoreboard first. Kayla Sharples reading a ball, intercepting that pretty quickly, lobbing it over to Ava Cook, who kind of flicked it on into open space on the wing for Pugh, and it took her approximately 9 seconds to score, and just sort of getting in front and beat her defender and beat Bixby in the end there. And very early on, there was an early lead, and then Portland said, hold on a second, and they quickly equalized. So it just sort of had the energy. It was like I told myself in the back of my head, Lisa, as I went to go cover this game locally, that I was like, this is it. I'm like, I'm very glad that I chose my draw for this game, because I feel like it's going to end out that way.
And that's exactly what it was. It was like a call and response between these two sides. And we have to talk about how Portland scored their goals, or how Chicago let up 2 goals in this game, because both of them off corner kicks, put into the box by Sam Coffey, the rookie who's playing higher up the pitch. than she has in her collegiate days, and playing in that defensive 6 role. And it's a new role for her. And she's done a really tremendous job. But it's Hina Sugita getting on the board first for Portland off of the corner kick. And really, Chicago couldn't clear it. They were unable to get the ball out of the box, and it falls to Sugita, who is wide open on the back post. But as I mentioned, a little bit of a call and response, because Rachel Hill able to get another goal for Chicago. So the Red Stars go up 2-1. We have to highlight Ava Cook, the forward for Chicago Red Stars. I think she did a fantastic job playing with her back to goal, holding the ball up. She got a few shots in this game as well that were really good, really dangerous. We're seeing more confidence coming from a player like Cook, which is good to see. But the goal from Rachel Hill was fantastic. Really good to see Rachel Hill, a player that is finally getting a little bit more consistency and minutes, get this goal in the 20th minute or so, I believe. So, but Portland responding again off another Sam Coffey corner kick. And again, Chicago can't clear it. And who else but Sophia Smith? Almost a no-look finish from her on this corner kick scrum in the box in the 46th minute. Really fun stuff.
I think that's the best example. I think, maybe this season, or if not in this just specific game, that where it's just you can't let that happen with Sophia Smith in the box like that's going to make you pay. And she did. And it was very early in the second half as well, which is just kind of like, it's just like one of those things where you're like, okay, it's like there's some interesting things happening here. But I loved that it also came off of another set piece for Portland, as an area where they're sort of kind of rising and sort of starting to deliver. Maybe a little bit for time for us to kind of wax poetic a little bit about Sam Coffey. I mean, the surface was fantastic. I got to say, getting a chance to watch this Portland Thorns team live, because it's such a, this, Lisa, as someone who's also been on site, it's just an entirely different experience when you're watching a game live. The movement and the angles that you're able to see from these players are completely different from if you're just watching at home. So to be able to sort of get a bigger idea of what Portland is looking like and what they're presenting, I mean, I'm loving what we're seeing from Sam Coffey. It does not look like a player who is intimidated at the pro level right now, and is just really kind of slotted in, has become one of these answers in the midfield for Portland Thorns, in the absence of somebody like a Lindsay Herrera, because I think that was coming into this regular season. There was a lot of narrative around that about, okay, well, she's leaving. So what's this, who's going to step up in the midfield? What's it going to look like? And we're seeing a lot of great stuff from Hina. We're seeing a lot of great stuff from Coffey, and watching it live is just a different experience. So no shock whatsoever that this sort of closed out in a 2-2 drop. But big takeaways from, I think, when you're looking at two forwards on the opposite sides here, and somebody like a Sophia Smith or somebody like a Mel Pugh, players who have been consistently called in to national team camps under head coach Vlatko Andonovski. And we're just looking at another game where there's just more examples of why these players are going to probably continue to be part of this extended pool for the national team. You have Pugh making these performances on limited minutes. She went 45 minutes in the second half in Orlando Pride, and then went about an hour against the Portland Thorns, and is producing ridiculously. And then you have a Sophia Smith, where you have to maybe ask yourself, if you remove a Sophia Smith from the Portland Thorns, what does their attack look like? So it was just more it's just more data, quite frankly, to sort of have for these two players. And it was great to be able to sort of see them go head to head in this match. I thought, despite the 2-2 draw, is one of the other more thrilling matches of the weekend for sure. We got a last one though, Lisa. Another draw. Houston Dash versus North Carolina Courage. 1-1 in this one. So not a 4-goal fest like we saw from the other two draws, but 1-1. Diana Ordonez getting the goal for North Carolina Courage. Rachel Daly securing the equalizer for Houston Dash. But perhaps maybe similarly to what we saw in Kansas City and Racing Louisville, the action coming pretty early in this one.
Yes, exactly. We saw Emily Gray back for North Carolina in this match. She was injured in the Challenge Cup final for the Courage, so she was back. But the opening goal coming from Diana Ordonez for
Oh,
North
yeah.
Carolina, 24th minute. It was a bit of a breakdown in Houston's back line that um, Emily Gray and Ordonez capitalize on. And it was good to see that from rookies in the NWSL, being higher up the field, realizing that Emily Gray can pick up this ball, get past Katie Naughton and Ordonez. This was the moment when I saw Ordonez take the ball and just go the
Yeah.
opposite way. Say, it's enough of this passing. I'm taking it from you. I'm going to go and I'm going to score a goal. She gets past Chapman, and then she beats Jane Campbell, the goalkeeper for Houston, on this shot. It was really well done by Ordonez. Good to see that. I know she had a lot of family at the match, so that was fun that she was able to celebrate with all of them. But then in the stoppage time of the first half, who else for Houston Dash except Rachel Daly? She's able to get this goal. When we looked at the stats for this match, Houston had 15 shots, only 5 for North Carolina Courage. Rachel Daly and Maria Sanchez had 4 shots
Yeah.
each throughout this match. They are Houston's attack,
Oh,
frankly.
yeah.
They did so well throughout this game, and we're starting to see more of that. But I liked Rachel Daly playing this role where her and Shea Groom can rotate through being a high striker 9 and then dropping back into the midfield. Because when Rachel Daly plays deeper into the midfield and she can make runs off of the forward shoulders and get in behind, she is just incredibly dangerous. And that's how the goal happened for Houston. It was a transitional play. It's Sophie Schmidt that picks up the ball deep in midfield. Defensively, she does a great stop, does what she's supposed to do, picks it up, finds Prince, who has a great first touch, gets around the defender, and then slots Daly through. It was timed so well. Daly was onside. She's able to beat the defender. She gets around Casey Murphy. And at this point, Kaylee Kurtz for North Carolina Courage is trying to drop back. She's raising her hand. She thinks it's offside for Rachel Daly. It is not at all. And Daly has the presence of mind to shoot this like there are 3 goalkeepers standing in the net, because frankly, there were 2 players, one close and one far, standing right in front of the net that could have stopped the shot if it were anyone else shooting it. But Daly, she doesn't. She finds the back of the net and she equalizes in this match, all in the first 45 for the 2 sides.
Yeah, I almost thought maybe it was going to be another one of these that wild draws that kind of maybe bled into Sunday, or kind of transitioned into sort of the later stage of the weekend, because we had the whole weekend kick off with a 2-2 draw with the Pride and the Spirit, and then Chicago kept it going on Saturday, and then we had Sunday this matchup with the Dash and the Courage, but 1-1 for the two of them. I loved watching the continued development of Diana Ordonez. I know we got to see a little bit more of her, more in terms of playing for country when the CONCACAF W qualifiers were on Paramount Plus. It was great to sort of see her get those runs out there con Mexico, and being able to sort of see her do this in front of her family. There were great shots of them in the crowd, and that was really nice to see as well. But Houston, kind of saying like, hold on here, we're figuring things out, and we're gonna be okay. And that's kind of the energy that is sort of maybe feeling from some of these performances that we're starting to see a little bit from that shot. I mean, I know we were high on them in the preview. We said we want to see this front line of Daly, of Prince, of Sanchez be able to kind of gel and put together some strong performances. And this one settles the splitting the points, but maybe this is the beginning of finally starting to see, full 3-point wins and stuff like that.